Welcome to the main event. Today it's going to be titanium versus niobium when it comes to jewelry. We're going to go through 5 topics, 5 rounds to see who comes out on top. Biocompatibility, durability, variety, cost, and wear. Coming up next on Piercing Battles, episode number 20. For those that are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you're finding them helpful and useful. But you may not know who I am. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So the 2 metals I'm going to be talking about today are 2 materials that are used in the body piercing industry. Titanium has kind of taken over. Niobium used to be a pretty stable type of jewelry that we used quite a bit when I first started in the 90s. That has changed over time, but I thought it'd be interesting to kind of compare the two because there are still some niobium pieces out there for sale, and a lot of people, this topic comes up from time to time. So let's start off with round number 1, biocompatibility. Titanium doesn't contain any nickel. It is extremely biocompatible. And in fact, they estimate that only 0.6% of the worldwide population is allergic to or will have a reaction to titanium. So the chances of you having an allergic reaction to titanium are very, very slim. With niobium, it's basically the same way, except it may be slightly more compatible than titanium because it's not an alloy. When we're working with pure niobium, it is very biocompatible. You would have to be allergic to niobium to have an issue. And most people aren't exposed to it enough to have that allergic reaction build up over time. It's not a common element from that standpoint. It's not something you come in contact with every single day. So it's not like nickel is what I'm getting at. This does not mean that things that are an alloy with stainless steel or plating or any of that stuff is going to be as compatible as titanium. When we're talking about body piercing jewelry, it's important that it is solid material, not plated, not filled. There are some titanium alloys with niobium that have been proven to be very biocompatible and more durable, so that is another option. That one I'm going to call a tie. It's a draw. Both of them have their advantages. Slightly niobium does, but it's not really something comparable and something that I would worry about. If you came into the studio and said that you had problems with metals and you had the option between titanium and niobium, I would say either shouldn't present problems. So after 1 round, score is titanium 1, niobium 1. Moving us on to round number 2, durability. Titanium is extremely hard, extremely durable. It is something that if it has a nice high polish on it, is not going to scratch easy. It's not going to break easily. It is a very durable material. Niobium, on the other hand, is softer, which has its advantage, and we'll get to that later. It is more prone to scratching. It's more prone to damage. It's more prone to bending out of shape, etc. So it's not as durable as titanium. So that one I'm going to give to titanium. So after 2 rounds, with this one going to titanium, it brings the score to titanium 2, niobium 1. And that moves us on to round number 3, variety. Titanium, there is a huge variety of different types of rings, threaded and threadless jewelry, ends, etc. It is by far one of the most used materials in body piercing today. It has a lot of variety. You add to that the fact that it can be anodized into basically any color other than red and black. You have a lot of variety and a lot of things to choose from. The only time there's kind of a constriction is when you get into super thick jewelry and you're doing curved or circular jewelry. It gets a little bit more difficult and to find, a little bit more difficult to work with. Also, anything that needs to be bent in like seamless rings, Sometimes captive bead rings can be very difficult to open, and beaded rings. Anytime you have to twist or bend anything, titanium is not the best option. However, it's very durable and works really well with other types of closures, like, for example, hinged rings. So it has its advantages and maybe that slight disadvantage. That, and you can't anodize it into black. With niobium, there is a lot of restrictions on having threaded niobium or threadless niobium. It is such a soft material. Usually the threading would not be durable enough. There are some companies out there that make it, but it can strip out over time. I've had experiences with that. It is just not the best option when it comes to threaded or threadless jewelry because the pins break on threadless jewelry fairly easy. There are some people that have been experimenting in producing things that are like a combination piece of jewelry, like a niobium top with a or post with titanium threading or titanium threadless pins. So it is possible, but it kind of becomes a hybrid. So if you're having a pure 100% niobium piece, not the best option. However, with jewelry that involves bending or flexing or what have you, since niobium is softer, it's much easier to work with than titanium, making it have a slight advantage when it comes to things like catty bead rings, beaded rings, and seamless rings. It's easier to bend that corkscrew shape. However, over time, it also can cause that gapping problem that you have with that type of jewelry because it's so soft, it starts to lose its shape. One other advantage niobium has is it can be anodized into a black color where the surface is basically burnt. It isn't a pure liquid looking latex black. It's more of a like a charcoal look. It is not the best option initially to pierce with because it tends to kind of pit the surface and make the surface very rough, which would not be a good option during a healing while you're healing a piercing. But it is possible to wear it afterwards. Some of these, like, you can do a high polish on it. It has kind of a I don't know, charcoal gray look to it. So that's the one difference between the two as far as variety, because you can't get that with titanium. That one, however, because there is so much titanium jewelry out there and so many different options, I'm going to give to titanium. So after 3 rounds, the score is going to be titanium 3, niobium 1. And that moves us on to cost. Titanium can be the price of titanium has dropped greatly over the last 20 years. Titanium alloyed, when I first started piercing, was usually about 10 to 20% more than stainless steel or niobium. However, that kind of changed. Niobium is used in more electronic devices, so the price of niobium started to go up. And because it is a more rare metal to get a hold of in some cases, it tends to be a little bit more expensive. Titanium is by far more affordable and is mainly, I think, because there's so much of it being used. Because it's more widespread use, the price tends to be a little cheaper. Niobium tends to be a little bit more expensive if you can find it. And it can also be hard to find because of the rarity. So with cost, I'm going to give that one to titanium, just basically because it is a little bit cheaper. Making it, after 4 rounds, titanium 4, niobium 1. And that moves us on to the final round, where with this, the durability of titanium is very, very good, very high. It is not something that's going to scratch very easily. It's not something that's going to go out of shape very easily. Thinner pieces possibly can go out of shape, but really, for the most part, it is a very durable product. With any piece of jewelry, tools could scratch this jewelry if it's the improper tools. The anodizing can wear off over time, depending on where the location of the piercing is. If it's in an area of the body that rubs against other body parts or clothing or what have you, or is in contact with bodily fluids, it's going to kind of fade faster than, say, if it's in an area of the body that doesn't have any of those issues. But titanium will fade. They can be re-anodized over again. That's not an issue. but it's something you want to consider or concern yourself with. If that anodization wears off, you end up with this kind of grayish aluminum color, kind of a high polish version of that. It's kind of, I often say, like, when people go, oh, it's really shiny. It's like it is until you sit there and compare it next to a high grade stainless steel ring, because the stainless steel is always going to be more mirror-like. Titanium has kind of more of a liquid look to it. I don't know how to explain it. But if that oxidation, the color wears off, that's what you end up with, is kind of a grayish, well, it looks like high polished titanium. With niobium, it is softer and is more prone to scratches and losing its shape and other forms of damage. It can't hold the shape as well as titanium. Tools can greatly damage it because it's softer material. The anodization, that layer always seems a little bit more durable to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just memory and just having pleasant memories of having these fabulous pieces of niobium that came from places like Good Art, and wearing them for years and years and years and not having them fade at all. I don't know if there was some magic going on there or what have you, but it always seemed like that lasted a little bit longer than titanium pieces that I got from other manufacturers. However, anodization is an oxidation of the surface. It can wear off over time. You're going to have that issue with both. With niobium, it kind of turns this grayish natural color. Not very attractive, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think it is just a tad bit more durable. That one I'm going to have to give to titanium. It just holds up better in the body. You're going to have it for longer. I mean, it's basically a piece of jewelry you could have for the rest of your life and not really have issues with. It takes low maintenance, not a problem. So, after 5 rounds, the final is titanium 5, niobium 1. Like with all of these, it really comes down to what your needs are, what your metal allergies may be, and what you're looking for. Everybody's different. The purpose of these videos is kind of educate you the difference between the two and may help you make a decision in that direction. For example, if you've got a piece of jewelry that you want a bendable piece of jewelry in any part of your body, niobium is a much better option than titanium. However, if you want a hinge ring or some fancy end or something, it's probably better to go with either a hybrid that involves titanium or to just go straight titanium. And I know there's this huge desire to get black titanium. It doesn't exist. It's either a coating, or at least I have never found, or it's a PVD coating or made of a material that no one really wants to tell me. The only safe would be rhodium, and if it is, plated with or coated with rhodium, most places are going to tell you. The fact that most of these places is like black titanium. Oh, what's it made out of? What's the coating? Makes me suspicious. So just so you know that. And a lot of the stuff, especially with the cheaper jewelry, it can be everything from silicone, paint, all kinds of things I've seen over the years. There is no such thing as black anodized titanium. Have you worn either titanium or niobium jewelry? Have you worn both? What was your experience with comparing the two of them? Please leave a comment. If you have any questions, always willing to answer those when I have time. Please leave a comment, or you can ask us live. Every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, we do a live stream where you can, get in the chat and say, hey, I want to know this. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your piercing needs in the future. Have a good day. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.